In today's video, we are going to write an exponential equation given 2 points. So that is your learning target today. Again, as a reminder, our exponential equation is y is equal to ab to the x, and that is where a is the y-intercept starting value or initial value, and then b is your multiplier. So this is a review from our last lesson where you were given the steps on how to write an exponential equation given 2 points, but one of those points is the y-intercept. Now, what if you're not given the y-intercept and you're just given 2 random points? Well, here are some new steps to writing an exponential equation given those 2 points. Now, writing all this down might seem a bit confusing, so I'm just going to walk through it with you verbally, and then we're going to do a few examples, and hopefully through the examples, it will make sense. So first, you want to create 2 equations in y is equal to abx form by plugging in your x and y values from your given 2 points. Then you're going to do what I call this the stacked method. You're going to stack them on top of each other, putting the correct variables into columns. And one of my tips is to put the larger x value on the top. Then you're going to divide the columns and solve for b. You will plug your b into any of the original equations to solve for a. And then you finally found your a and b, and you can plug them into the standard equation. And so let's try out an example, and let's write an equation of an exponential line passing through the points 2, 144, and 6, 729. So let's go through these steps together. First, you want to plug in the x and y values. So we know our equation of an exponential is y is equal to ab to the x. So I know that this is x and y, and this is an x and a y value, right? That's our coordinate pair. And so I'm going to plug these values into this equation for x and y. For the point 2, 144, 144 is my y, a, b to the x, 2 is my x. And I'm going to write my second equation using my second point. 729 is my y value, a times b to the x, which I now know is 6. And so I did my first step by just plugging in those 2 points. Not too difficult yet. The next step is to stack them on top of each other, putting the correct variables and constants into columns. And my tip is put the larger x value on top. And do we see how this equation has an x value of 6, whereas this has an x value of 2. So my little tip is to put the larger x on top. So I'm going to put 729 is equal to ab to the 6th power, and I'm going to put it on top of 144 is equal to ab to the 2nd power. And now I am going to do the next step, which is divide the columns. So you can see this as a system of equations, except I'm going to divide out the columns. This is what I mean. Let's do this one first. In your calculator, see if it works out nicely. If you put 729 divided by 144 in your calculator, your decimal is actually not too bad. I'll go ahead and write that out. It is 5.0625. If you do have a very large decimal though, just leave it as a whole fraction, 729 divided by 144. Then we have a divided by a. If we remember from math 1, when you divide exponents of the same base, you can just subtract. 1 minus 1 is 0. So this essentially reduces. They kind of cancel out to 1, but we don't put our 1 there. And then we're going to do b to the 6 divided by b squared. And again, this is our quotient rule. If you divide exponents of the same base, you just subtract the exponents, and you would get b to the 4th power. So b to the 4th power. I just divided the columns, and I am left with 5.0625 is equal to b to the fourth power. And from here, hopefully we've gotten more comfortable with solving for b. If my b is to the fourth power, that means I'm going to take the fourth root of both sides. That will reduce to just b. And if I put the fourth root of 5.0625, I get the answer 1.5. And that's how I solved for b. And so from here, it's the same as the other method of when you get the y-intercept, you're going to plug b into one of your original equations. It doesn't matter which one. I'll pick the one with the smaller numbers. B, I now know, is 1.5. And let's see, the 2 was here, right? I chose this equation. So I have 144 is equal to A times B, which I calculated as 1.5 squared. I'm going to do 1.5 squared in my calculator, and I get it is 2.25. To get A by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 2.25. So 144 divided by 2.25 is equal to 64. So I have successfully found my A value. I found my B value, and that means I can create my equation. B is 1.5 to the x. And that is how you write an equation, an exponential of an exponential line passing through those two given points. Let's go ahead and try the next example. Example 2, we also want to write an equation of an exponential line passing through these 2 points. And so go ahead and pause the video and try these on your own. See if you can follow along with the steps and the notes that you just took for the previous problem. And then let's go ahead and try this together. So again, this is my x and my x and my y. I'm going to create an equation. I don't know what a or b is, but I know x is -1. And then -162 is equal to ab to the 3. Next step is to stack them on top of each other. I know that I want my larger x on the top, and that's this one. And so I'm going to put that one on top. And I'm going to stack the other one beneath it. And I'm going to, according to my third step, divide the columns out. And so again, let me do a little color coding. We're going to have this side. We are going to have A, and we're going to have a B value. Okay, so if I put -162 divided by 2 in my calculator, negative divided by negative makes it a positive. Ooh, let me go back to using a pen, not a highlighter, please. 162, -162 divided by -2 is positive 81. A divided by A, this just reduces to 1. And B cubed divided by B to the -1. Remember, when you divide exponents, you just subtract them. And 3 minus -1 makes it a plus. So it becomes B to the 4th power. So that's what I have so far after I divide the 2 equations. Now let's go ahead and continue to solve for B. Since it's to the 4th power, I need to take the 4th root of both sides. And when I put that in my calculator, the 4th root of 81, I get the answer B is equal to 3. So there's my first value that I'm missing from my equation. And now I'm going to take that B and plug it into one of my original ones. I'm going to go ahead and do -162 is equal to A b, which I now know is 3 cubed. I plugged this into this equation, by the way. You could have plugged it into this equation and gotten the same problem, or yeah, same answer and same problem. So 3 cubed, let's see, 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So I have 27a on the right. If I take 162, negative 162, and I divide it by positive 27, I get negative 6 is equal to a, and there's my second value that I'm missing. So my final answer is y is equal to negative 6 times b, 3 to the x power. And that's our answer. Okay, so let's try one more example. And again, pause this video. Try to do this problem on your own. This has a negative value and a decimal point, but nothing changes, all right? So let's go ahead and do this together. If I plug in the x and y values into my equation, I will get this, x and y, x and y. So it looks like it's 1.75 is equal to ab to the 2. And 28 is equal to ab to the negative 2. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stack them. I'm going to put 1.75 is equal to ab squared. And I will put 28 is equal to ab to the negative 2 below it. I'm now going to divide out the columns. So if I do 1.75 divided by 28, I do get kind of a simple decimal, 0.0625. The a is reduced to 1. B squared divided by b to the negative square. Well, when you're dividing exponents with the same base, you can just subtract them. Oops. Minus a negative makes it a plus. So I get b to the 4th power. And that is what I have so far for step 3. I am now going to just rewrite it over here. And because it's to the 4th power, I am going to 4th root both sides. And if I 4th root 0.0625, I get the answer, oops, 0.5, a half. And so I'm going to plug that into one of the original equations. Let's do it into this one where there's a positive. So I'm going to have 1.75 is equal to a, I know my b is a half squared. Now I need to solve for a. Well, I know a half squared is 1/4. And to get a by itself, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of this, which is 4. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. And that is how I'm going to get rid of this fraction on this side. Do a little fraction busters. And I get that a is equal to, what is 4 times 1.75? And my calculator is 7. So I have my a, I have my b. My equation is, let's see, 7 times b to the square, 2nd power. And, oh, I apologize, not the 2nd power, to the x. I looked at this and that's what got me messed up. All right, so that is our equation right here. And you can always test it by plugging in a point and making sure that you did not make a mistake. That is the process for writing an equation given 2 points when one of them is not the y-intercept.